about social withdrawal, we tend to focus a lot on shyness because it has that approach avoidance conflict and because it's so fascinating. So when we think about shyness and we think about some of the predictors of shyness, it's important to understand what we're talking about here is a temperamental trait. It's not the same as social anxiety. It's possible that really shy individuals may also have social anxiety or may develop a social anxiety disorder at some point in their life. But there's many individuals who are shy that are not necessarily going to have a clinical disorder. In fact, when we ask adults if they thought they were a shy child, 80% of adults tend to say they were. Now we know it's unlikely that 80% of individuals were extremely shy. Early studies in shyness tended to compare shy to non-shy kids using some arbitrary cutoffs such as a median split in the distribution or triquile or quartile splits. So what that would look like, in case you're curious, is basically we would test everyone on a continuous measure of shyness. So they'd fill out a questionnaire, let's say a 25-item questionnaire where they could rate each item on a 5-point scale. And you get some people that scored really high, you get some people that scored really low, and who is shy versus who isn't. Well, if we took a median split, this is the idea we split the distribution right in two, and everyone in the top half would be considered shy, and everyone in the bottom half would be considered not shy. Of course, that's a problem because we know that 70% of people are within one standard deviation of the mean. There's 70% of people in these two blue bars here, and it would be incorrect to say that the people in the light blue bar are different from the dark blue bar, yet the people in the dark blue bar are the same as the people on the tail end. That would be incorrect. So a median split is not recommended. A quartile split or a triquile split would be, instead of splitting the distribution into 2, you split it into 3, or you split it into 4, and you take the people at the top tail and identify them as shy, and you can take the people on the bottom tail and identify them as not shy. And you could compare those two groups together. However, one of the problems with this is now you're not exactly comparing shy to not shy. You're comparing the most shy to the most outgoing. The most outgoing is not necessarily the correct control group to be using in this situation. So other researchers instead, they take the top 25% or the top 10% of the most shy and compare them to a random sample of the lower 75% or lower 90%, or even a random sample of everyone between the 35th percentile and the 75th percentile, something like that. So most researchers have tried to look at this now as a dimension where many people may fall anywhere on the shyness spectrum rather than as a category. So when 80% of adults say that they're shy, it doesn't necessarily mean that they were all on the tail, but they might have felt that at one point in their life they had a bit of hesitance there. We tend to know that feelings of shyness tend to get elicited when we're in novel and social situations. So people are more likely to feel shy when they're at a job interview, at a first date, on the first couple of weeks of school or university, and those are pretty typical times to feel shy. But that doesn't necessarily mean a person would be considered temperamentally shy. Of course, it gets even more complicated than that. We're going to talk a lot about the outcomes of being shy, and although most of our research looks about this in a linear way, that is, as your shyness score goes up, your risk of having certain negative outcomes may also go up, it's important to understand that it may not be this pink bar. It may not be linear. It might be curvy linear. It might be something that's more shaped like an S. And that is because of this curve. If you were just in the blue band or the blue and green band on shyness, you might still be at a low risk, but then once you move to the red bar, it doesn't matter where in the red bar you are. If you're at the bottom of the red bar, the high part of the red bar, you're at equal risk. So we might see the risk jump up really quick as you move to the red bar and then sort of plateau and flatten out. And so we might see a cubic or curvilinear association between shyness and possible negative outcomes.